Does this mean Caitlin has to wear the black Air Force Ones the rest of the series?
I mean, they're working. So, yeah, we made the joke. She has to bring them in her bag, wear them every day.
The basketball world has been buzzing nonstop, but nothing could have prepared fans for the shocking announcement that Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexie Hull just dropped. These three stars, each with their own devoted following and undeniable impact on the game, have joined forces to share news so massive it's shaking the entire WNBA landscape. This isn't just another headline. It's a game changer that could reshape careers, rivalries, and the future of women's basketball forever. Let's break down what really went down. Shock Alliance, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull changed the WNBA. On July 8, 2025, three players walked into the same practice building and changed the talk around women's basketball. Caitlin Clark, who drew national attention with a breakout season, met with Sophie Cunningham, a veteran known for her grit and clear-headed view of the sport, and Lexie Hull, a young rising talent hungry to grow. Their meeting at the Indiana Fever training facility was not casual. It looked planned and deliberate, a move that immediately turned whispers into headlines. Seeing Clark's huge fan pull stand next to Cunningham's steady voice and Hull's fresh promise broke the normal lines of rivalry. Players often keep their distance because of contracts, team loyalty, and competition. These three chose to show unity instead. That choice cut through noise and made fans, teammates, and league leaders sit up and pay attention. It felt like the opening chapter of a larger effort. The moment matters because the league sits at a rare crossroads. The WNBA has higher attendance, stronger TV ratings, and more sponsorship interest than in recent years. Still, deep issues persist. Pay that lags behind men's sports, careers that end too quickly, and an economic model that often pushes players to work overseas just to make a living. Clark brings huge visibility and new viewers. Cunningham brings years of experience and practical lessons learned from tough seasons. Hull brings the voice of the next generation, players who need time, support, and clear paths. Together, the three create a kind of influence that can be hard to ignore. United, they could press for clearer pay scales, safer health rules, and contracts that protect players beyond short bursts of fame. They could push for league-backed programs, better insurance, financial training, off-season support, and coaching pipelines so players can stay in the game after retiring. The message is simple. The sport deserves long careers and real protection, not temporary headlines. Fans reacted fast and loudly. Stadiums filled, social feeds lit up, and everyday supporters began demanding real change. Players suddenly felt backed by a public ready to press for reform now. Across cities and small towns, community groups and youth programs amplified the call, turning local chatter into national pressure that owners could not ignore anymore. Behind the scenes, serious business talks are active. Expansion plans, television rights, and the collective bargaining agenda all hang in the balance. A coordinated player voice in these conversations can change how money is allocated and what terms are negotiable. When a few high-profile players step forward together, networks and owners listen differently. That pooled leverage can rewrite budgets and priorities. The symbolism matters just as much as any memo. Young girls watching Clark break records will now see that fame can also be used to create power off the court. Veteran players see that speaking up may be safer with allies. Sponsors see a movement that is steady enough to invest in for years, not weeks. Marketing could shift from one-off campaigns to multi-year deals that invest in player growth, community programs, and stable careers. There is also a human truth underneath the talk. For players who juggle overseas seasons, family needs, or injury recoveries, better support means safer choices and healthier lives. For rookies, more stability buys time to develop. For retired players, stronger structures mean pensions, healthcare, and coaching chances that honor years of sacrifice. So when those three left the training facility together, they seemed to be starting something bigger than a single announcement. Keep watching to find out. The Pay Gap Reckoning. WNBA stars unite for fairness. As the 2025 WNBA season approaches, excitement fills the air. But this time it's not only about who scores the most points or which team tops the standings. Beyond the court, something deeper is happening, an energy building quietly, yet strong enough to shake the foundation of women's basketball. It's not about a buzzer-beater win or a highlight reel dunk. This wave of change comes from a powerful alliance determined to address the struggles that have long been pushed aside. On July 8th, inside the Indiana Fever training facility, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexie Hull came together in what looked less like a casual meeting and more like a calculated move. Whispers from insiders suggest their focus isn't a new playbook or game strategy. It's a mission that could alter the future of the league itself. Their eyes are locked on one of the most debated issues in women's sports: fair pay. For years, the WNBA has gained headlines, sponsorships, and television spots. Yet players still fight an uphill battle against salaries that barely reflect the value they bring. Even the brightest stars earn a fraction of what male athletes in similar positions take home. That divide has been the league's open secret, but with the right voices leading the charge, the time for silence may be over. Clark's entry into the league in 2024 flipped the narrative. From her very first games, ticket sales soared, arenas overflowed, and millions tuned in from home. Merchandise featuring her name flew off shelves, setting records no one expected this early in her career. Almost overnight, she became the league's biggest financial driver, a brand within herself. Yet despite pulling in more money than many franchises alone, she remains trapped by salary rules that cap her earnings far below her worth. Her vast social media following, bigger than some NBA stars, only strengthens her ability to draw attention to the problem. Then comes Sophie Cunningham, a steady veteran with grit and credibility earned across seasons in the WNBA and overseas. She knows firsthand the struggles of off-season contracts, the risks of injury without full security, and the sacrifices needed just to keep playing the game at a high level. Cunningham's perspective adds weight, showing that the issue is not just about rookies or rising stars, it's about sustainability for every player. Lexie Hull represents the next wave. With her Stanford background and early promise, she brings the voice of the younger generation, players who dream of long careers but worry if the structure will support them. Her involvement signals that this isn't just a push from those already established. It's a collective call spanning across age and experience. Together, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull form a coalition that feels both symbolic and strategic. They're not only pointing to unfair salaries but hinting at broader reforms, better working conditions, policies that protect athletes' health, and structures that guarantee fair treatment from the moment a player is drafted to the day they retire. Their timing couldn't be sharper. The WNBA is riding a wave of historic growth, pulling in new audiences and corporate dollars like never before. If there was ever a moment when players could use their combined leverage to spark change, it is now. What makes this even more striking is that it's not just about money. It's about identity, recognition, and rewriting the unwritten rules of women's sports. These three players are proving that influence in the modern era stretches far beyond the court. It reaches into boardrooms, negotiations, and even culture itself. By standing together, they could open doors that reshape the business model of the league for years to come. Now, what could have been the forces that sparked the WNBA to finally reckon with its future? Stay close, because the story is only beginning. The mission behind the movement. As the spotlight burns brighter on Caitlin Clark's every step, a deeper story starts to unfold, one that goes beyond baskets, highlights, and record-breaking rookie numbers. Her presence hasn't just filled arenas and boosted television ratings, it has shifted the very business model of the WNBA. But now, the bigger question arises. How will Clark use her unmatched influence to push the game forward, not just for herself, but for every player who shares the court? Behind the scenes in Indiana, whispers grow louder. Clark isn't just focusing on personal milestones, sponsorships, or trophies. Insiders say she has been meeting with Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull, forming a conversation that could become the foundation for something far greater than individual glory. Together, this trio signals a new kind of power within the WNBA, one rooted not in rivalries or team colors, but in unity and purpose. Clark's visibility stretches far beyond the hardwood. Her games dominate national broadcasts, her social media following rivals professional athletes in much larger leagues, and her face is plastered on merchandise flying off shelves. Few women's basketball players have ever held such influence, and she seems acutely aware that with this platform comes responsibility. Her message is clear: success isn't just a destination, it's a doorway. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham brings grit, resilience, and the perspective of a seasoned veteran who has navigated the harsh realities of the league. She has experienced the frustration of paychecks that didn't reflect her hard work, endured grueling off-season stints overseas to remain financially stable, and played under outdated systems that hindered growth. Cunningham is not just a player, she is a survivor from the WNBA's leaner years. Despite these challenges, she has played a significant role in enhancing the league's recent surge in popularity. Her experience in union advocacy and her ability to balance international play with domestic challenges make her voice both valuable and essential. Cunningham truly embodies the spirit of turning hardship into guidance, ensuring that future players do not face the same struggles. Together, Clark's energy and Cunningham's wisdom form a powerful alignment. Add Lexie Hull into the mix, and the trio becomes something even bigger. Hull, a Stanford standout and sixth pick in the 2022 WNBA draft, represents the voice of the league's rising generation. Still early in her career, she sees both the promise and the pitfalls. At Stanford, she thrived under a system that invested deeply in its players. In the WNBA, she's confronted with a reality where many young athletes quietly weigh tough choices. Should they chase stability overseas, hustle through side opportunities, or stay and fight for change at home? Hull's perspective is raw, fresh, and grounded in the daily struggles of those who want to build a future in a league that still battles for equal recognition. Her role in this initiative is not just symbolic, it's strategic. She represents the untapped voices of dozens of players still carving out careers, players whose concerns are often drowned out by headlines focused on stars. Hull signals transition, showing that even the youngest generation is unwilling to accept silence anymore. Together with Clark and Cunningham, she brings balance, the promise of tomorrow aligned with the weight of yesterday and the visibility of today. What makes this collaboration striking is the way it bridges generations. Clark represents meteoric momentum, Cunningham embodies earned wisdom, and Hull stands as a symbol of future possibility. Their partnership isn't just about one era replacing another, it's about weaving them together into something stronger, a living example of what happens when different journeys join in pursuit of one vision. And so, the whispers grow louder. What does this unlikely coalition truly aim to achieve? Could their voices finally echo the silent struggles players have carried for decades? One voice, many journeys. A united stand for lasting change. But how will this alliance disrupt the system fans thought they knew? Stay tuned. Shaping the WNBA's future. What makes this moment in women's basketball so powerful isn't only about who is involved, but when and how it's happening. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexie Hull aren't just three standout athletes making headlines. They represent three very different points in a professional journey. Clark, the electrifying rookie whose arrival reignited national attention. Cunningham is the resilient veteran whose years of sacrifice and leadership have given her an unmatched perspective. And Hull, the young talent, is still carving out her space in the league while representing the future yet to come. Together, they mirror the WNBA itself, its past battles, its present momentum, and its future possibilities. Their recent partnership signals something much larger than individual ambition or team loyalty. It feels less like a random collaboration and more like a calculated step toward reshaping the very foundation of women's basketball. For years, players have faced the same struggles: restricted salaries, short earning windows, and the exhausting reality of needing to play overseas just to secure financial stability. By uniting across generations and experiences, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull are shining a light on issues that have lingered too long in silence. Clark's rise alone would be enough to shift attention. She draws cameras, headlines, and record-breaking viewership wherever she goes. But when her fame and reach combine with Cunningham's battle-tested resilience and Hull's fresh generational insight, the result is a coalition that can't be ignored. It's not only about what they bring individually, it's about how their voices, when blended, demand to be heard. History has shown us that real reform in sports doesn't happen in isolation. The NBA's lockouts, the U.S. women's national team's equal pay fight, these moments of change all began when players from different backgrounds stood shoulder to shoulder, turning frustration into collective power. The pattern is clear. Solidarity fuels transformation. And now, with the WNBA enjoying unprecedented growth in attendance, merchandise, sponsorships, and media coverage, the league may finally be at a tipping point. Still, major cracks remain. The current collective bargaining agreement offered some advances, but many players remain dissatisfied with capped salaries, limited benefits, and the lack of long-term career support. Meanwhile, overseas leagues in Europe and Asia continue to offer bigger paychecks and more security, pulling talent away during the off-season. This global imbalance only intensifies pressure on the WNBA to evolve. If international leagues can reward women's basketball at higher levels, why can't the league where the best talent in the world gathers? That question lingers, growing louder with every passing season. The timing of this collaboration between Clark, Cunningham, and Hull couldn't be sharper. Talks about league expansion are already heating up. Networks are negotiating long-term broadcast deals, and the future structure of the WNBA is actively being debated. This season is more than a competition for a championship. It's a crossroads for the league's identity. With their joint effort, these players are signaling that they don't just want to play in the system, they want to reshape it. What makes this even more unique is the power of modern platforms. Today's athletes no longer need to wait for media outlets to share their stories. With social media, Clark has a direct line to millions of fans around the world. Her posts spark immediate conversations that ripple far beyond the game. Cunningham and Hull, though not as globally recognized, add credibility and depth to the message. Together, they represent something that feels bigger than basketball itself, the determination to rewrite rules that have defined women's professional sports for decades. As arenas fill, ratings climb, and sponsorship dollars increase, the opportunity to push for true reform has never been stronger. The decisions made in this moment won't just impact today's stars, they could echo for generations still dreaming of their shot. What could this powerful alliance mean for the future of rising stars and the WNBA as a whole? Stick around, because the truth behind it might just leave you stunned. The deeper impact of a united voice. What makes this moment in women's basketball so powerful isn't just who is involved, but when and how it's happening. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexie Hull aren't simply three athletes making headlines. They represent three stages of the WNBA's story. Clark, the electrifying rookie, has reignited national attention. Cunningham, the resilient veteran, brings perspective shaped by years of sacrifice and leadership. Hull, still carving her space, reflects the promise of the future. Together, they mirror the league itself, its past struggles, present momentum, and future possibilities. Their partnership signals something far bigger than personal ambition or team pride. It feels like a deliberate move to challenge the very structure of women's basketball. For years, players have wrestled with the same issues: limited salaries, short earning windows, and the burden of playing overseas just to secure stability. By uniting across generations, Clark, Cunningham, and Hull are spotlighting problems that can no longer be ignored. Clark's rise alone has shifted the spotlight. She draws record-breaking audiences wherever she plays, but when her reach combines with Cunningham's seasoned resilience and Hull's fresh perspective, the result is a coalition impossible to dismiss. This isn't just about their individual contributions, it's about their unified voices demanding to be heard. History shows that reform in sports rarely comes from individuals working alone. The NBA's lockouts, the U.S. women's national team's fight for equal pay, these turning points came when players joined forces, channeling frustration into collective strength. Now, with the WNBA experiencing unprecedented growth in attendance, sponsorships, and media coverage, the league may finally be on the edge of transformation. Yet challenges remain. The latest collective bargaining agreement brought some progress, but many players are still frustrated by salary caps, limited benefits, and the absence of long-term career support. Overseas leagues in Europe and Asia continue to offer larger paychecks and more security, luring talent away in the off-season. This imbalance raises a question the WNBA cannot ignore. If international leagues can reward women's basketball at higher levels, why can't the league with the world's best talent do the same? The timing of this collaboration is critical. Discussions about league expansion are heating up, new broadcast deals are on the table, and the very identity of the WNBA is being shaped in real time. This season is more than a battle for a championship. It's a turning point for the league's direction. Clark, Cunningham, and Hull aren't content to simply play within the system. They want to reshape it. Modern platforms make their influence even stronger. Athletes today don't need traditional media to amplify their message. Clark's direct connection to millions through social media sparks instant conversations. Cunningham and Hull, though less globally recognized, add authenticity and depth. Together, they form a voice larger than the game itself, a determination to rewrite rules that have limited women's professional sports for decades. Clark, Cunningham, and Hull aren't just changing the game. They may be changing the future of the WNBA itself. But is this truly the turning point women's basketball has been waiting for? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.